Hey, folks, how we doing? Um, before we get started, I'm waiting on Master Grant. It's going to be the two of us tonight. I wanted to send a local, uh, just a little bit of local news from WKBN 27 Youngstown. Uh, some of you guys are probably a little too young to remember somebody by the name of Lenny Strollo. Lenny Strollo was a mob boss in Youngstown, as WKBN labels him a notorious mob boss. Uh, uh, he was uh, he was convicted. I want to say in '96. No, in 1990. Okay, I'm sorry. In 1990, he agreed to a deal to testify against other local mobsters and corrupt politicians. In total, he helped prosecutors get more than 70 convictions. He was convicted of bribes, money laundering, and racketeering. He was also convicted of ordering the shooting of Paul Gaines in 1996, who was the Mahoney County prosecutor elect at the time. And it was the prosecutor elect. Don't forget, he didn't serve any time in office. Strollo was eventually released from prison in 2008. When he died, apparently was today. He was 91 years old. 91 years old. The last of the classic mob bosses, I think. For those of you who don't know, a lot of talk is done. A lot of stories are made regarding the mobs in New York and Chicago and whatnot. Youngstown had actually three mob families that really fought for territory, and you may have heard of a term called a Youngstown tune-up. If you haven't, your parents probably did, or older folks that you know. But that's where the car bombs were pretty much invented. It's the classic you see in all the mob movies. In every mob movie, you always see it, right? Somebody gets in his car, they turn the ignition, and boom, it blows up, right? Made popular in Youngstown. Called a Youngstown tune-up. So you have Lenny Strollo finally passing away, 91 years old. Unbelievably lasted 91. To be honest, most of these mob guys, assuming they survive to an old age, they usually look good at 91, especially after they were in prison for, forever. He was obviously treated pretty well there. I mean, he did, the thing said that 70 convictions, with 70 convictions, that he was partially responsible for. Hi, Master Grant.
Hey, hello, sir. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I am good. I am good. A little stressed.
Oh, well,
A little
I,
stressed from work,
I,
but
I, I had something to do with that, I'm sure.
no, you didn't actually. No. I'll work
You
related.
know what? We're just starting. Give me time.
Okay.
I was telling everybody. I don't know if you were familiar with the name Lenny Strollo.
No.
No, he was.
Oh,
He spent 13 years in jail. He was one of the biggest, probably, oh no, probably the second biggest mobster in Youngstown. Part of the three families, the Youngstown mob. He was convicted of, among other things. And this is back in '96, and I don't know if you remember, but he was convicted of ordering the shooting of Paul Gaines in '96. He was the Mahoney County prosecutor elect at the time, and Lenny Strollo was released from prison in 2008. He just died. Was in the paper today. Well, in the news today. He was 91 years old. I was telling everybody, most folks in that life, even if they survive to an old age, normally don't make it till 91.
No.
So this guy, he had to take care of himself or something. He ended up being a stool pigeon, I guess, because I'm just going to go back and use all the old terms, right? Because we're talking about mod. For the state, he helped prosecutors get more than 70 convictions as part of an organized crime probe in the Mahoning Valley. So, you know, he did his deed, got busted, and then ratted everybody out. Still made it to 91. That's saying a lot, you know. That is saying a whole lot. But anyhow, I just wanted to bring that up to everybody, especially around this area. You were a little bit too far south for these guys to. And I was telling everybody, I don't know if you ever heard of the term Youngstown tune-up or not, but you know, you see a Youngstown tune-up in every mob movie you've ever seen, right? It's never whenever the guy goes in the car and he turns the ignition on and the car explodes.
Yeah.
All of that started in Youngstown.
No.
So it was known as a Youngstown tune-up. You can look it up. Yeah, you can Wikipedia it. Yeah, it's something. So anyhow, I was just kind of discussing that with everybody before you got on. What's new?
Oh, okay. Just a lot of work, a lot of it's a lot of craziness. So just yeah, I'm so stressed. So sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
And then I watch the news and I see all this. Can't even like, I don't even want to look at NPR anymore. I mean, it's just Israel, Gaza blowing each other to smithereens. Mostly Israel blowing Gaza to smithereens. You know, the Trumpsters are roaring back. Yeah, just a lot of goofiness going on. You know, Mitch McConnell doing his same old bullshit. I mean, you know, I just
you know why they're going back and doing that same old bullshit?
Why?
Because they can. Because they know that they're going to get their same eyeballs. They're going to get the same knuckleheads all fired up. They are on the rinse repeat cycle, right? It's always the same bullshit all the time, over and over and over again. Because they're hitting an audience. They're hitting a very specific audience that seems to be working. Well, at least working for them. And that's why they're doing it. It's ridiculous. You can almost bet. I will bet you. I'll make you a bet. Of course, this would take a little bit of you and I would have to pay attention a little bit more than either of us want to. But we'd have to get on let's say like Drudge Report or get like a Fox News news feed or something like that, and just follow them for, I don't know, let's say 3 weeks. Okay. So we follow them for 3 weeks. We'll start let's say we start Monday. Okay. And for the next 3 weeks, from Monday to Monday to Monday, well, that'd be to the next Monday, we follow everything they do and everything they talk about. And I bet you we can predict, starting on the fourth Monday, what the subjects are going to be.
I don't doubt it.
I'm pulling that one purely out of the air, but I'm willing to bet some money on that. What do you think?
No, we can do that because they do follow a scripted plan. They're very organized.
Very, very organized.
You know, the Hannitys and the ex Rushes, and those guys were all given scripts to follow, and they did talking points. And
I was told one time. Now this was pre-Trump. Okay, so I don't, because he threw a wrench into everything. But I was told one time, and I actually followed it, and I was surprised how accurate it was. That if you ever want to know what's going to be on Rush Limbaugh, there was some other radio knucklehead that was on for a hot minute. And what the entire thing for Fox Entertainment was going to be for the day, all you had to do was whenever you got up or got to work or whatever it was, and you got on a PC, just go to the Drudge Report and see what they're talking about, and that will be the narrative for the day.
So the Drudge Report is there.
It is basically their version of the Huffington Post. Okay, or Daily Kos would be a better example. Okay, it would be their version of the Daily KOS, however the hell you spell it, KOS, whatever. But I did that I only did it for a week, for 5 days, so my sample size isn't huge. But damn if they weren't right on. They were dead on. Now, like I said, this was pre-Trump, so I don't know what it is post-Trump now. But all you had to do was just look at that for the morning. Just go 5 minutes, just scan through it for 5 minutes, and you knew what they were going to talk about for the rest of the day.
Wow.
It was quite entertaining.
So interesting. I'm just looking at the Drudge Report right now. Crypto Crash had their headlines.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's still the case, and I only did it for a week, so there's a lot of coincidences that could have been there, but man, I was impressed. I really was.
Well, they are coordinated, and they do follow scripted guidelines, and I can only hope that these voting machine companies in their lawsuit win, so that Fox has to pay out the butt. And
yeah, I do too.
That's
I do too. Because the only way to hurt these guys is in the pocketbook.
Yes,
it's the only way to hurt them, and they need it. They're going way out on a limb. They're not that they were legitimate to begin with. They at least kind of had, they kind of fake legitimacy, right? To the point where they were still they weren't the oddity in the press conferences and the White House press conferences. They were still at the correspondence dinners. They seem to be very willing to sacrifice that status in order to keep telling the big lie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing. This whole Mitch McConnell not wanting to, saying that we're not going to do this commission. Somebody's pulling strings now. They're absolutely pulling the strings.
Well, of course.
And if he's, back in the day, he would be like so heavily criticized for flip flopping. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He's a flip flopper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he went from supporting it, now he's not. So he's a flip flopper. Whatever happened to that? Where'd that go? Where'd decency in the Oval Office? Where'd that go? What happened to that? That was big news.
Yeah, that was a big thing for a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, and where'd all that go? What happened to that? It's like, oh, it's not the but so they are still. I did read something interesting today, and it was about the 80s satanic paranoia scare. Now, I know you're a bit younger than me, and you may not remember the 80s very well.
I graduated in 86.
I know, so I'm just.
I know. Sorry.
You should have ran with it. You should have said.
I know. I should have, but I'm gonna jump on this whenever. I'm gonna be right on your coattails with this. So, I would be disingenuous.
So what happened was, basically, just to make a long story short, rumors got around that preschools were sucking blood from children. They were doing satanic rituals. There was a big fire. They found satanic images. People went crazy believing in it, and spread all over the country. I mean, I remember interviews with actual Satanists. Of course, they didn't do themselves any favors by dressing up all in black and gothic, but
of course.
But yeah, and so what we see here with this current, this QAnon and these conspiracy theories are the same thing. Democrats taking children and sucking blood and satanic rituals and stuff like that. It's exact same thing. The difference is the devil is now the Democrats, Democratic leaders, Democratic politicians, not preschool teachers.
Right.
And so, but it's amazing how we get into this mass hysteria. And there's good people that truly believe this, truly believe it in their hearts, that pizza shop in D.C. that Hillary Clinton was taking people back into the back room and, selling babies. And they truly believe that was happening. And so it's scary how easily we're duped.
I still am a huge metalhead, right? So whenever you had the rise of what ended up being the hair metal bands, but at the time when it first started, and you had the Black Sabbath of the world who were basically doing their thing, and then Ozzy left Sabbath and started doing his thing, and then you had Iron Maiden, you had Slayer, you had all these. I was going to hell every time I turned around, right? There was always some other thing I was listening to, or some album cover or whatever, where some idiot decided to let me know that I'm going to hell. Of course, that same music is bumper music now for the football games. NFL on Fox. They're playing Crazy Train as a bumper song. So either the whole world's going to hell or my soul was saved somehow. I don't know what it is. Not real sure how that happened, but I heard it all. And you're right. Now we have the QAnon folks, and what the Democrats are eating children in the basement of a pizzeria that doesn't have a basement or some shit like that, right? Hillary is. No, it was Hillary that was doing that.
Yeah.
It was Pizzagate, remember?
Yeah.
It's Pizzagate. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but we got these such bizarre. Well, it's alarming. It's frightening, because then you take a book like the Turner Diaries, which gives a example of what they call, I think, the white genocide or white eradication or something like that, and that type of thinking is utter nonsense. Just utter nonsense. Pigmentation of somebody's skin doesn't mean a thing. It just means you got one pigment more than you have another, or less than another. And in fact, pale skin, like you and I, are actually weaker than darker hued skin. We're more susceptible to melanoma and skin diseases in the sun. So
yeah, we're also the mutants.
We're what?
We're also the mutants. The lighter tone skin didn't happen for quite a while after Homo sapiens started.
Yeah.
It was quite some time before the skin got a whole lot lighter.
Yeah. And it's because of northern climes. Paler, just not you just don't have the sun exposure. It's colder, right, damper, cloudier. And so your body says, okay, we don't really, and over time. So it's just it's a matter of environment of where we lived.
Yeah.
And but anyway, the point of the matter is that these type of beliefs and these type of crowd mentality is so dangerous that it kind of makes you wonder, did the founding fathers have it right that you can't trust the masses?
Yeah. It's not a it's not a far-fetched saying, and I've said it a bunch of times, a person is smart, but people are stupid.
Yeah.
Uh,
And what I really love are the people with limited education, right? Limited education that go off talking like they know the world inside out.
they know it all.
And when you listen to them, you can just tell by their tone and how and it's like, okay, Mr. Know-It-All here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they just repeat rabble that they've heard on the radio or wherever they were listening to, or even maybe a smaller percentage reading. But yeah, it's just and I don't need higher education. I've read a lot of books. I've listened to the radio. I've listened to Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Carson Tucker. They tell me everything, and I read a lot of books, and you can't tell. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like, okay, I'm sorry, but you don't. You sound like an idiot right from the get-go.
I had a guy one time, very, very recently, tell me, and his argument was he's never seen a virus mutate like this one has. He's not real sure it's real because he's never seen it happen. So, he's
a virologist.
So being the analyst that I am, I asked him. I said, "Well, how many have you seen?" Right? Is that not the next logical question? Right? It's like you're telling me you've never seen anything like this before, so you're setting a precedent. You're setting a baseline. I want to know what that baseline is. How many have you seen? Well, that's what they're saying. No, that's what you said. You just said that right now. You just said that. You've never seen it.
Exactly. And
I bet you haven't.
And then I really get irritated at people who repeat narratives that Fox News had done, and then they have to repeat it to you. It's like, look, I don't watch or listen to Fox News for a reason, and I don't want to hear it being regurgitated out of your mouth. Like this whole Wunan conspiracy where it was a Chinese government and blah blah blah. All that nonsense. And you know what? I'm not going to dismiss that there maybe is somebody is culpable. But I'm going to let the real authorities tell me.
Right.
I'm not going to let, Sean Hannity tell me. Because those guys, Carson Tucker,
Tucker.
and, oh, I'm sorry, Tucker. Sorry, I got messed that up.
Tucker, it's okay.
Those guys, they're just in it to make listeners, and so they're not going to tell you the truth. That doesn't make them money. Getting you all riled up about something does, and so they're going to tell you what they think is going to get you riled up. Plausible deniability on their side.
It is the curse of 24-hour news channels.
Yeah, it really is. So let's talk a little bit about this Israel-Gaza situation, if you don't mind.
Please fill us in.
Okay. So we have, so it's just so I'm sure everyone knows, but just in case you don't, Gaza is a small territory. It's like 40 miles long, like 10 miles wide, something like that. Just a small country that is inhabited by Palestinians, where they were relocated, and in Israel, and they are enclosed by a big fence goes around them, and they got the sea, and then the West Bank is you get a bit of Israel, and then you get the West Bank. So you get the sea, Gaza, Israel, West Bank, where other Palestinians are. Now, Gaza has separated from the West Bank Palestinians politically. The Hamas political group has pretty much taken over. They do not want anything to do with the Palestinian authorities. And so they're on their own. So Gaza pretty much is on its own. And they rely on Israel for everything. Israel controls the airspace, they control the water. Israel pumps in water, they pump in electricity, cable. Sean Hannity. Sorry. And so Gaza, and so there's a lot of tension.
Okay.
These people are basically living in a cage. For lack of a better word. And there's a lot of tensions, a lot of things. So it doesn't really matter who did what or who said what or what happened what, but now they're blowing each other up. Gaza's sending air missiles into Israel, and Israel's just pounding them with their superior military technology. And it's just a situation that just rinse, lather, repeat, rinse, lather, repeat, rinse, lather. Every year something flares up, and again we're throwing rockets at each other. And the Palestinians always getting the worst of it. 200 Palestinians dead to one Israeli. Not that any death is good, but I mean, it's far over. Right. So, what do we do? How can we, we all know that these are highly sensitive issues. You talk to the Israelis will say, oh, Hamas are terrorists. They kill indiscriminately. They kill women and children. They blow up buses. They blow up schools. They're too afraid to face the military, et cetera, et cetera. Palestinians, on the other hand, the Israelis are heavy-handed. They're taking all our land. They, just take, and we're just getting pushing further and further in a corner. And they, we're segregated. We're, dehumanized, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. So high tensions on both sides. And how do we rectify this? Is there a way to rectify it?
Well,
I'd like to kind of hear your thoughts on this.
That is really like the $1 million question there, isn't it? Is there anything we can do about it? This can't be done. Okay, what I'm about to propose cannot be done. So understand where I'm coming from. Okay, I'm giving that up early. I know this. I'm not being naive. I know it can't be done. But I look at it like you have two, whatever your two kids were misbehaving. So what'd you do? You put one in one corner, maybe slap the ass, put the other one in the other corner, maybe slap the ass, and that's where they stayed. Right? You cut off everything. Said, nope, both of you, you're done. Until I tell you different, until you can behave yourselves, you're going in your room or whatever. There was punishment. I don't see why we're not doing the same thing. No, obviously, like I said, politically, it's very different.
Nations, they're not children, so.
Well, they're acting like children.
Yeah, they are. That's for sure. So, when I think about this, first of all, they both are right and they both are wrong. And so, violence never is the answer. So, shooting rockets, no matter which side you're on, is not the answer. And I think that's the first step. Is that we got to say, look, you got to this violence got to stop. The only people who are you're only hurting the people. The Palestinian people are getting hurt. Israeli people are getting hurt. That's the only people that are getting hurt. Politicians who do all this crap are living scot-free. So first is knock the violence off. Second is that we got to improve the situation. So, we got to take steps. So, for example, the border, Israel encroached on the Palestinian land and put in a huge buffer. So, that's got to be taken away. You instigate things like that. Well, what response do you think you're going to get? Right? So, so don't do stuff that's going to instigate. Okay, so get that buffer zone up. Put the buffer zone on the Israeli side. If you want a buffer, there you go. You got all the land. Make a buffer. So that would be that. I think that would be tremendous. Now, Israel, of course, won't do it because they'll say, "No, we're not going to blah blah blah, whatever."
Right.
But that's where people have to meet in the middle. Now, the other thing I think is that Egypt needs to step in, and I think what Egypt needs to do is Egypt needs to give the Palestinians some land in the Sinai. They need to open the border and cut them out to 50 square mile chunk of land that they can go to away from Israel. And so I think that would then kind of ease things, because then those people who are just hate Israel for all their guts, they can go over to Egypt's side, right? And be in the Egypt side. So now they end up hating the Egyptians, but it's like, but I think, anyway, those are some of my thoughts, some of my ideas on this, and just, trying to be the peacemaker, because right now, people being killed, innocent Palestinians, innocent Israelis, to me is a grievous sin. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
For nothing. People are dying for nothing. They're not soldiers. They're just people trying to make it, just like you and me, working, raising families, and all of a sudden they get blown up.
Let me ask you a pretty obvious question. Why'd this start?
Why?
This latest round. Yeah. What was the catalyst that made Israel decide to start launching bombs?
Do you know?
No, I don't. I honest to God, I don't.
Well, Hamas launched some bombs. I gotta look it up. Hold on, I can get it. I know.
So was Israel in response?
That's a. Hold on, I'll get it for you. It's always something. I mean, it's always somebody doing something not copacetic, isn't it? So, okay, in May, it says here, May 2021, Hamas fires long-range rockets towards Jerusalem in support of Palestinian protests against Israel's heavy-handed policing of the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound in Jerusalem. Okay. And the Israeli threatened eviction of dozens of Palestinian families by Jewish settlers. Okay, so heavy-handed policing of the mosque in Jerusalem, and once again, Jewish settlers evicting Palestinians. So that's what instigated it.
Yep, that's what did it.
And that whole Temple Mount, that just needs to be I think, right, that's a religious place for everyone. Christians, Jewish people, and Islamic people. It's a religious place for everyone. You can't say it's ours, get out. No.
Yeah, you can't monopolize that.
No. I mean, that's where the stone that Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac on, that's located in the mosque. That's where the Jewish temple was and is. There's still a wall. That's where Christianity has, all the traditions there. So it's a holy spot. It's where the Prophet Muhammad went up to heaven. So it's a holy spot, and you can't just Anyway, sorry.
No, it cannot be monopolized. It's just this should be a no-brainer, right? This should be a no-brainer. You can't monopolize. You can't monopolize religion or religious artifacts, areas, locales, and say no, you can't have it. It's mine. Okay, you can't do that. You're just, first of all, you're being an asshole. Second of all, you just started a war. All right, as soon as you told, pick one, anyone, any religion, that this area, this thing, this object, whatever the case may be, is something you hold sacred that you can no longer have, well, fuck, that's it. we're all, we're all gonna die now, because we're coming after it. We're coming after you, and you're not going to give it up. And that's how it goes. I always felt like there was always some stupidly ignorant catalyst for the things that happen there whenever they things blow up, and I almost feel like, and I have no way of proving, because like I said, the latest history that started this whole, the most I heard about is what you told me, a couple minutes ago. But I'm so tempted to believe that Netanyahu took advantage of something and just started bombing people because he's having some political issues and he wants to stay in power. I'm curious to see when their election is and see what's going on there, because this guy's a piece of garbage. Okay, I mean he's a piece of garbage, and he will sacrifice countless lives just to stay in power. He will. He did it last time. And I'm wondering if he didn't look at an opportunity. It may have been a mistake. It may have been a bombing. Hamas or whoever may have started this whole thing, but it very easily could have been rectified, probably. And again, I'm speculating. I'm totally coming off the top of my head. And he saw a chance to really make things so over the top and ridiculous because he's up for an election or something. He has to look good. He has to show strength, or he's going to scare people into not wanting to change a regime during a conflict.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Yeah. And that's what the real shame is. Politicians using things like this for their own personal gain, and of course the warmongers, the people who build the guns, build the rockets. Those guys are profiteering like nobody's business. They love this. It's like, hey, Hamas, come on, shoot some more.
and they're selling to both sides.
Yeah. We'll get these. Don't worry, Hamas. We'll get these rockets to you. Make sure you have your money when we get there. We'll get you these rockets, and they're just making. Yeah, that's the people who win. Those are the people who profit from conflicts like this.
They're bookies, right? How's a bookie operate? Right, you got the juice money. You got to bet $11 to win 10. You got to bet 10%, right? So what does the bookie want? He wants an even number of even money on team A and even money on team B, because no matter what happens, he wins because he gets the juice money. He just takes the money from Peter and hands it to Paul, and he gets the 10% on top of that just because you're showing up, right? These warmongers are doing the same shit. Right? I'll sell you the guns. I'll sell him the guns. He gets a little bit of an advantage. I'll sell you better guns. Oh, no, you have an advantage, so I'll send him some bombs.
Yeah, and they just go back and forth. You do know that they have these bombs now. With these bombs, you're going to have to get. You have to upgrade now. So.
There's a 20 megaton. Hey, I can give you 25 megaton for the same price. I feel you're paying.
Yeah.
Right? Sure.
It sounds like a Taekwondo studio offering you to go to the gold package from the silver platinum. So you get extra special training.
Yep. And you get to wear the different colored pants.
Because the silver platinum package was the extra special training. But now with the gold star package, you get even extra training on top of that for only $100 more a month.
You can come an extra day.
Anybody who's looking for a Taekwondo school, if you go into a room, if they take you into a room and close the door to talk to you about their plans,
get out.
Get the hell out.
Run. Don't even say goodbye.
That's going nowhere good quick. That's going nowhere good quick. They should be able to give you a piece of paper saying $65 a month per person, sign here for the waiver, and be done. That's what it should be. The moment they take you into a back room
that's what we did.
Talk to you. You're in for you're going to be losing money.
That's what we did.
Your money. I wanted to ask if you got a chance to see either the men's or the women's college soccer championships
I saw the Pitt game.
Oh, Pitt should have won.
Yeah, I know.
They were the better team. Oh, they
I
had
know.
such good opportunities. They would have won the championship too had they beaten Indiana. They would have won the championship because Marshall and Indiana. So for people who are watching, the finals was Marshall versus Indiana. Went to overtime, and Marshall scored a golden goal in overtime and won. Now both of them are great teams, but locally, our Pitt University got all the way to the semifinals and lost a heartbreaker to Indiana, who ended up losing in the finals. But that game, if you watched it, I thought Pitt was going to win. I mean, they had such good opportunities. Indiana looked flat. Indiana didn't look like a very good team to me.
No, they didn't. And Pitt just couldn't finish. They just gave up so many opportunities.
They gave up a lot of opportunities. There was a couple good saves, but it was really just misses.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking stuff. I mean, that header, oh my gosh, it was just so anyway, Marshall, the Thundering. I'm glad Marshall won because I really didn't want Indiana to win because then I would have thought, oh crap, that Pitt. So at least we won't really know but it still would have been a great thing for Pitt to get to the finals. But did you watch the women?
I did not. No,
Well,
unfortunately.
you missed a chippy game.
It's
Florida State against UC Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. Okay.
SC, Santa Clara. And boy, the Seminoles started getting chippy there towards the end. I mean,
Oh yeah.
dragging the girls down. I mean, it was but it was intense. It was intense, and both sides had like last minute breakaways, and it's just like, oh, it was exciting. It was intense.
How'd that end up?
They went to penalty kicks, and
Wow.
Florida State missed. They hit the post. The first two kickers hit the
No
same
way.
exact spot.
Oh my God.
Now, if you're a
Oh my God.
conspiracy theorist, you would go, "What are the odds of them hitting the post? They were getting paid off." No, but it's short. Like the first one went up, and she went to the corner and she hit the post, and off the post it went. And it's like, oh. Well, then the second girl, after then the California girl scored, and then the Florida girl came back up, and she hit she did the exact same thing, same spot. I was like, wait,
That's
you
good.
see that? And anyway, they won on penalty kicks.
Oh, good. That would have been an exciting game.
That was a good game. Yes, that really was. I was thoroughly enjoying that. So
That's a shame. I would have loved to have seen that game. I would have loved to have seen it. Looks like Liverpool's going to get into Champions League.
what happened to West Ham?
It's a good question, but
I've been working so much. I have not kept up Premier League at
well,
all.
Tottenham lost to Aston Villa 2-1. Newcastle beat Sheffield. Everton beat Wolverhampton. Crystal Palace lost to Arsenal. West Brom lost to West Ham, and Liverpool beat Burnley.
West Ham dropped down to 6, so I guess they're
So
out.
if you're looking at it, the top two are locked. Okay. City obviously won the league. United's going to come in second. Chelsea has a point over Liverpool and Leicester. Okay. West Ham can do is 65 points. Leicester's sitting on 66, so that takes care of that. Tottenham's out of everything. They're 7th, so they don't even get Europa. I wish somebody would explain to me what's going to happen if United win Europa League.
Now, what do you mean?
Well, United's second in the table, so they have a Champions League spot.
Right.
Okay, so they got it. That's wrapped up. That's solid because their worst United could do is second, so they're locked. But they're in the Europa League final. The winner of Europa League gets a number 1 seed, in Champions League in the group stage. Well, if you're already in the group stage, now you have to do something with the winner of Europa League now, because that spot still has to be filled. So who goes? So who goes now? Do you add one more Champions League spot from the Premier League? So does Leicester get in Champions League now, since United already clinched it, and Leicester's fifth? So instead of going to Europa, they go to Champions League, and West Ham ends up in Europa, who's sixth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not real sure how that works.
No, I don't either. That's gonna be interesting.
I mean, you can't have one team that takes up two slots.
Well, sir, I'm going to assign that as homework for you.
Oh, thanks.
No.
I could just as easily yell for my son, and he could tell us right now, but
Yeah.
not
So
gonna do that.
what are the top two go to Champions?
in the Premier League, the top four are in Champions League,
Oh, the top four.
and number 5 goes to Europa.
And what about
So-
number 6?
They get to watch number 5 go to Europa.
That was good. That was good. So, okay. Interesting. I wonder if, that's a good, I'm sure they've got something in the rules somewhere that says maybe they look at the teams, like all the leagues that qualify, and they look at the records, and then they base it on win-loss, goals for, goals against, things like that, to determine who is going to fill that spot.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They would have to do something, right? I mean, this thing's over as far as the top 2. It's done. Okay, United have a 4-point lead with 3 points left to play over Chelsea, so they're done. You know, there's 38 games. Everybody's on 37 now. So City won because no one's catching them. They still have 12 points on United. And I don't care how good United is. They in one game they're not making up 12 points, and a 20-point goal differential.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So United's at 71. Chelsea's at 67. Again, 3 points left to play. So Chelsea isn't catching them. But Liverpool and Leicester are both at 66. West Ham's at 62. They're 4 points out with 3 to play, so they're not in. They're out. That one draw killed them. What was it? Against Brighton Hove. That draw killed them.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody might actually go up a notch. That way, you might get 5 teams in Champions League. Leicester might get in there, then West Ham will get into Europa. So your Hammers might get in.
Okay.
If that works that way.
So what do we need? We need what? United to win?
City and United doesn't matter. They're locked first and
Okay.
second. Doesn't matter what happens in the league this week. It's a done deal. Okay. No one can overtake either of them for the top 2 spots. Chelsea's at 67. Chelsea has 1 point over Liverpool and Leicester and 5 points over West Ham. So and there's only 4. Well, actually, Liverpool could actually take the 3rd spot if both sides win and Liverpool scores 1 more goal.
Okay.
No. They can, if they're even Steven, if Liverpool and Chelsea are even Steven, same result, same goal differential. Liverpool actually jumped Chelsea into the 3rd spot. But so what? That just means Chelsea's 4th. Or either way, they all made Champions League. Like I said, Leicester's got Europa League, assuming. That's where it stands now. But looks like your West Ham's the odd one out.
Well, they just have to win and pray. Win and pray. So I'm just surprised Tottenham fallen as far as they did.
Yeah, me too.
especially with the great one as a coach.
Well, he's not the great one. He's the special one. Right? Wasn't that it? He was the special one?
Special one, yeah.
He was the special one. And now he's coaching. He's the manager at Rome in Roma. Why is this good old boys network in soccer? This guy, the game passed him by 15 years ago. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
All right, sir. Well, this was fun. I'm going to have to go.
All righty.
I appreciate
Okay.
it. This was fun as always.
Yes, it was. We will be back tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. God willing. I'll see you tomorrow, sir. Until then, goodbye, good luck, and God bless. We'll see everybody tomorrow.